Welcome everybody to Panfish Nation, along with my co-host Mark. I'm Lyle, and welcome everybody to the show. We're going to talk about fall fishing tonight. Should be interesting. I don't know how your bite's been, Mark, but been a little slow for me.
You know, I'd be able to tell you if I went fishing. I've been dealing with some personal stuff here, so it's been a little slow on the fishing front. But hopefully, we will get back out there pretty soon. I'm trying to get in one more flathead trip before the end of the year, so hopefully next week I'll be able to go. My time's kind of spoken for the rest of the week up until next week, but the weather is like crazy nice here.
Oh, it's beautiful today. Had some rain a while ago, but it's going to be cool off tomorrow, and then we got some really cool weather coming up, which I'm happy about. But when a front moves through, we'll talk about this in a little while. When a front moves through, things change, and we'll go through that here in a little bit because I've been fighting that.
Especially my mood, because
really?
I get pretty irritable when it's 90 degrees out. I ain't gonna lie.
I wonder why.
A little bit irritable.
Because it's freaking miserable, Jack. I mean, oh man,
irritable is a nice way of saying I turn into a son of a biscuit.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just miserable when it's extremely hot, and it's no better when it's extremely cold.
This is true. Look at this. We got our man, Quiet Man Curtis, showed up here real quick. Look at this comment. Look at this bossy Bugman. Bugman says, okay, now let's do this. I'm a busy man. Thanks for coming in, guys.
We appreciate it. Absolutely. You know, when you get used to fish being in one area, every time you go and they're not in them areas and you have to look for them, it's time to get the boat out. So, with that being said, it is hooked up and ready to go. I get it all pulled up, checking the batteries to make sure it's ready to go, and I look down, and lo and behold, the plug is missing out of the boat. Now, my boat has a screw-in plug.
Oh.
The only way you can get them is online. You can't get them from any boat store, parts store, Walmart, none of that crap. You got to order it. And usually the threads are different, so you got to order the whole thing, drill out the rivets, and put it in, and all that crap. Yeah, the next time I'd have to do that, I'm just going to order 2 of the damn things, and I'll have a spare plug.
Anyhow, you order 2 and you'll have a replacement plug. You sure it's just not lying around in your boat somewhere?
I found where it was parked was outside for a little bit, and I don't know if it fell out, the wind blew it out, or what happened to it, but it was over away from where it was parked, but it was still laying right there. So I just went down, picked it up, and I put it in and tightened her down, and I'm good to go. But that's scary because I got everything ready to go and no friggin' plug. And I thought, oh, damn.
You know, I got those the rubber ones that you screw in there and you cinch down on them. They're pretty standard stuff. When I bought my big old, my fancy boat that was not cheap, first thing that happened was that darn plug didn't work. It was wouldn't tighten down.
Really?
So and the problem I had with that was the bilge on that boat is pretty deep, and there's 2 access ports right in front of the motor. You know, when I say access ports, those screw-in type, the big plastic ones.
Yep.
I can't get my arm down there to put a new one in with the cable that it attaches to. So I got like 4 of those silly little Walmart ones I bought. They work just as good, except they just don't have the cable attached to it. I got an extra cable one, but I just can't get in there to fasten it down with a drill or whatever. But Who knows? We may get it figured out one of these days when I got nothing else to do. But I got plenty of projects to do for that. Really? It's like I still have those 4 new. I know I still have those 4 new rods that I got that I want to make a couple shorts with. And that's another thing when you're trying to make content, whether it's shorts or or even long form or whatever, there's a lot of preparation you got to do. And you can't just put the stuff together. I can't just move my reels over and, put line on them and get them rigged up or whatever without having a camera rolling and some sort of storyline in your head on how you want things to look and feel. And I don't have a studio in my house. It'd be nice if I did. So I'd kind of
get out the credit card. I'll help you with that.
Stop it. I ain't got no money left. I'm saving for Christmas. I got to buy you, Chad, and Josh Christmas gifts. Maybe even Dockery if he's nice to me.
Huh. Wow. I'm impressed.
I wish I could buy everybody in Chad a Christmas gift. I'd buy them all. I'd buy them all fishing gear. I'm sure they'd like it.
You're the new Santa Claus.
Ho, ho, ho.
You know how I feel about that Bob friggin' humbug.
Yeah, no kidding. Don't make me start saying Alexa's name. Quit being mean to me. So there's a good show you guys had on Monday. You got those rules ironed out, I saw.
It was fun. We got some stuff done that needed to be done. It's common sense things, nothing, no rhyme or reason. It's just stuff that we talked about throughout the year. And it's like anybody that makes rule changes for anything other than safety in any kind of a tournament is a moron. It's just that simple. Now, safety stuff, you should make changes at any time. But anybody else that makes, for any other reason, once you set them in effect, they're in effect until that season's over. And that's what we done. We just waited till the end of the year. And like I say, mostly common sense stuff. Everything worked out, so we're good to go.
Yeah, when I was doing the 1v1s on my channel back in the day, I had a pretty serious set of rules, and it seemed to work out, but it took like weeks to get them all put together. I had to pick a lot of people's brains and stuff, and I remember. You got to kind of be like Chad used to call him, the tournament dictator when it comes to this. So you got to do what you can do, and it's not that you're trying to be mean or unfair to the person that those rules would apply to. You're trying to be fair to everybody who's in the tournament.
That's right. And then that's what you're striving for, is to make it fair for everybody and equally the same. So running tournaments is very difficult. Cindy and I run them things for years, 10, 11 years. I don't remember how long it is. Then we give Twisted Cat Outdoors to Alex Nagy. Ungrateful as he is about that, but I give him everything. I mean, we give him scales. We didn't get a dime for it. We just give it to him because we was tired of doing it. And you can't fish and run a tournament. You cannot fish your own tournament. We tried that, and all you do is donate your entry fee money, and you leave out an hour or two late after everybody else is gone. You got to come in an hour or two early, depending on how far you go, because you just can't do it. You just can't. So we give up trying to compete with them guys in there. And what happened? Then I think it was the very next year we won a Jack and Jill tournament up at camp. So, but we liked running tournaments. It was a lot of fun. Met a lot of nice people. Kind of missed doing it, but not enough to do it again.
I've never been a tournament fisherman, but I do have to say that this whole doing the podcast, doing the show with you, getting out there and fishing and stuff and being part of the community, I've met a lot of decent people, except for like Curtis here. Do you see what he's saying about me? Did you read that?
How about this? I check live wells, walk up and down. When we have 50 or 60 boats, I walk up and down that line and check all the live wells. I got the biggest chewing of my life from a guy to go over to, he said, I'm ready for you to check my live wells. So I walk over to his boat, and we're standing there, and one thing leads to another, and we get talking, and I didn't look at his live. This is a horrible story. I get back, we get done talking, and I just turn around and walk off, and he walks over there, and everybody that's entered in the tournament stand there. And Danny says, "You didn't check my live well." I said, "I was just over there." He said, "You didn't look in the live well. We talked. You didn't look in it." I stop what we're doing. We got to go check the live well. I thought, man, this guy, I would never worry about him cheating.
Well, that's one thing. That's the guy who's gonna say something about it, because he's the one that doesn't want his reputation harmed by people accusing him of cheating. He wants his bases covered.
That's right. And he was
understand
a consistent winner and consistently in the money. So he didn't want anything going on where anybody could question him. Most of the time, he fished by himself. Hey, Crappie Kid. But sometimes they're later. He's a little older than me, so he got to where he was needing people in to help him with the boat, and rightfully so. But oh my God, I never was so embarrassed in my life. Well, I would have been, but he really, in front of all them people at entry, we going into the meeting and before we released everybody, and he just going on and on about me not checking his live. Holy crap, man! You're the last person I'd worry about. Let's go do it right now and make it happen.
When you get to be our age, Lyle, we get to be a little cranky and demanding. We just don't have room in our lives for bullshit. So,
I'm guessing Danny was probably about our age when this happened, and I was probably 15 years, 20 years younger. But you're right about that. I have zero tolerance for bullshit, and stupid. I got less than zero.
That makes both of
us. I just don't. I never put up with crap my entire life, and I'll be damned if I'm going to start putting up with it. I just think the people running down the road, they stop and they on them cell phones and they're got them thumbs going. They weave in my center line lane. I'll pull up right outside the door and I'll lay that horn on them. I'm telling you, they're scrambling for position. I just stupid is a terrible thing, and the world's full of it. We just got to try to eliminate as much of it as we can.
And Curtis said, I was the mean one. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I think he might have put your name in there. But yeah, I understand. I got no room for bullshit either. So I just avoid it.
To be crazy, and waited on a Walmart delivery. Walmart Plus is my friend. I like it a lot. They deliver to your door. You just bring stuff in. You don't have to go to the damn store, do none of that stuff.
Is that a benefit they give you for being a greeter over there during the day?
I don't know, but if I get a greeter's job when I'm not fishing, that's what I do. Hey, well, how you doing? I'm not going to go what I'd say, but you know what I mean. But these kids running up and down the road, I'm sure they're running track and they're getting exercise and conditioning themselves. But I'm thinking, man, they need a job. If they got time to do that, they could be out working somewhere and making money. But they don't. These kids these days don't have work skills. There's a few that do, but not. Everybody worked when I was a kid. Everybody had a job.
I know, and that's true in some cases. But I know a lot of good young people that bust their humps. I know a lot of good people a lot of young kids that I happen to know. They pretty much take their lives pretty serious. They save their money. They don't waste their money. A few of them are not. Now they're all getting into the age of where they're buying homes and they're starting to think about marriage and stuff. So they're doing pretty good. I hear a lot of this stuff on social media, and we should do a show about all this, the effects of social media on fishing. That was one of my ideas. Well, we can talk about that later, but in life in general, I mean, you hear a lot of the squeaky wheels online, but there's a lot of good people out there that go unheard. And I'd rather
men and women, doesn't matter. Online have cojones that's this big around. In reality, they're more like this big. When you face them up, they shrink rapidly.
They call them the keyboard warriors. They did a long time ago.
That's right.
Everybody. And now it's turned into, the more outlandish you are, the more crap you can cause, the more you get paid.
That's right.
Yeah,
Matt, want to be outdoors is welcome to saying hello to you and I. Did you see the picture of the deer Matt killed?
I did.
Very nice.
Pretty cool stuff. I've been, let's talk hunting for a minute since fall's coming around.
Let's do.
I've been watching, like I do in the fall. I get into this, watch a lot of hunting videos, on YouTube, and I've never had the opportunity to hunt. I mean, I've done like trap shooting, skeet shooting, stuff like that, sport shooting, things like that. But I've never had the opportunity to go hunting, or did I ever figure out how to get started in it. And I have an opportunity to go dove hunting again, a standing opportunity like last year than this year. So we'll see if we can get out there. I might have to pick your brain a little bit about that. But yeah, I did see Matt's deer that he got, and that's pretty impressive. I mean,
that's a great deer for where he lives because, and I'm not knocking him, don't take this wrong, but Arkansas is not known for having giant deer. But that was a very nice deer. Anyway.
You know, I understand Arkansas's got a good bear population. There's a lot of guys that hunt
Missouri bear too.
Yeah, I might want to try that someday. That'd be kind of interesting. So I figure, if I'm going to hunt like big game, we'd start with maybe go on a hog hunt or something. Go pay for a guided hog hunt and try to get in there this time. During when COVID started, the lockdown started, I had actually won a tag over at Apple Canyon State Park here in Illinois, which has the highest tag out rate in Illinois for turkeys. And then they shut that down for that. So
Matt says Arkansas deer are like poodles to the northern states.
I bet they taste delicious, though, Matt.
They do.
Taste delicious.
They do.
Josh, I'm not going to highlight that.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother reading it. I'm not going to mess with Josh's comment. If
you guys are listening to the audio of this, and if me and Lyle both go quiet, we're probably reading one of Josh's comments.
Yeah. Or one of his aliases.
Yeah, one of his aliases, which I think was in here. He was claiming that people are blaming him for aliases when they're not even his.
Well, I think they do sometimes. That's a true statement right there. 3 miles, 40 hours, took care of the house and everything. Very true. Very true.
What do you say? I say hello to the people in chat, Lyle.
Let's do that, buddy.
We got Benoit Fishing Outdoors. Hello, ladies. How you doing? I think they're still coming off their rush from fishing down in Florida. I've been seeing a lot of pictures and videos and stuff there from that. It looks like it was a good time. Hopefully they're enjoying some all that fish they brought home. My P.O. box address is on my webpage, so if you want to send me any of that, we're good with that. Bugman22 in the house. What's going on, Buggy? How you doing? There's Miss Cindy Stokes. How you doing, dear? Joe Bug66 in the house, channel supporter. We appreciate your support for the show and the channel. If anybody else would like to support the channel, links are in the description. Feel free to click on them. Mike Sampson, what's up, Sampy? How you doing, my friend? Sampy was like the first person I interviewed when I got into this whole ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time.
It was. Crappie Kid in the house. What's up, kid? How you doing? There's Josh, the Weekend Angler. What's up, buddy? What's going on? Matt, he's also a channel supporter. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Fishing with Jeff Beal in the house. How you doing, Jeff? Jeff's having a DIY fishing tournament. If you guys want to get in touch with Jeff Beal, you can do that on Facebook, and he'll get you entered in that. I think it's coming up here soon. He was saying he still has some openings, so if you're interested in something like that, I'm sure it'll be a good time. I think the rules are for that is you got to catch a fish with your homemade DIY pole before you can use a regular one, and so on. So it's kind of an interesting concept. So he'd asked me if I could, if I wanted to be in it. Unfortunately, I can't make it that day, I've been awfully busy these days, so it's been kind of hard. But if you can and you're interested in that, contact Jeff. Other than that, let's see what Matt says. Speaking of bear, there was an older gentleman who got mauled today working on his tractor on the side of the road. Bears passed. The bear passed and he was life flighted.
Wow.
They must have whacked it. Yeah, that's pretty serious. Bears are either afraid of you or they'll stand their ground if they feel threatened for the most part. At least what I understand. What's going on, Heather Stokes? How you doing, dear?
I haven't seen one live deer in Missouri. I have seen one in Colorado, which I didn't have a tag for. There was a bunch of us in the same camp, and we was sitting around the fire after we'd been out elk and deer hunting all day. And I was telling him I seen this bear walk right down in front of me. The guy said, "Well, why didn't you shoot it?" I said, "Because I don't have a tag for it. Out of state, you don't want to do that and get caught, you know." He said, "Well, I got one." I said, "Well, it'll probably be back tomorrow. Why don't you go up there and check it out?" You know,
Yeah, Danny Stone always said I could come shoot one in his front yard if I ever wanted to. And then I got looking at the cost of tags and stuff. I'm like, it's not cheap, you know. If you got to buy a firearm, you got to buy camo. If you're going to do it right, you got to buy tags, hunting license in the state you want to go to. Most states aren't really friendly to out of state
Joshua.
hunters, which is understandable, but it's a fact of life. What's going on, Joshua? How you doing, bud? So there's all that stuff that goes in there. So maybe someday I'll do it, maybe not. Like I said, I shot a lot of trap and skeet, so maybe I should be looking at hunting birds before I do anything else. So,
well, I'll tell you about dove hunting, Mark. I've done a lot of it, and it's one of my favorite all-time things in the world to do. Take plenty of shells. So just about the time you pull the trigger, they're going to do one of these, one of them, one of these. They are very unpredictable, but they are a lot of fun, and they're hard to find when you knock them down. They're hard to find.
We got a few that hang out here in the backyard. All right. What it is my wife's got a finch feeder in the backyard, and the finches knock that seed down and it hits the ground. She doesn't use the thistle. She uses the good seed for finch, and the doves pick it up. So we got about 20 doves that crap all over my patio furniture here in the backyard, and I just can't talk my wife into let me take a couple of them out.
Yeah.
Or else I would.
Crappie Kid says, Mark and Lyle, September 7th is the day crappie and brim will go off. Don't miss Saturday, I'm telling you. I'll make it a point not to.
I'm telling you, Saturday fishing might not be such a avoided thing here now that the boats are all going away. So we'll see. That river of mine's been kind of hard to fish, and we talked about that a little bit in past shows with all the weeds and stuff washing down. But that doesn't mean that it won't change before it gets too cold or covered in ice. So maybe we'll get back out there soon. My fishing plans here coming up soon. I got an invite to go fish Green Bay. I'm looking forward to that.
Too. That'd be fun.
My buddy Eric B, who's an MLF fisherman, wants me to come up and fish Wisconsin River for sturgeon with him. We try to do that once a year. He's trying to get me a 60-inch sturgeon, so that'd be kind of cool. It's worth, I know you're not a big sturgeon guy, but man, They fight like the Dickens. I got a 48-incher. That's my PB so far, and that thing fought harder than my PB flathead, if I'm going to say that. So it actually did. It was a good time, and something about a catfish rig and just a tray of worms that doesn't get any more simpler than that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. So, well, good luck with that. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. But what on? Hey, thanks, man.
Matt says, you two guys ever want meat? Just let me know. I'll figure a way. That sounds like something Jerry Parker might say.
Yep. Hey, Brian, welcome to the show. Glad to see
What's
you
up
tonight.
What's up, Brian? How you doing? So those are kind of the plans. Also, I'm hoping to get up into Mendota before that locks up too, and do a little perch fishing with Jerry Hohausen. Me and him talked a little bit about that, so that'd be kind of fun too. So those are like my big out of town trips. So other than that, we'll probably be hitting the chain more than the river here lately after I finish up with flatheads. Maybe we'll do some more pond fishing. We'll see. Did I ever tell you that I did get my fly rod out this year?
No, you never did tell me that.
I did get out for a short period of time. Well, here, let me tell you the story. We got a little bit of time. I had rigged it up, got it all set up, and I just took it out to the park one day during the week, and I practiced with it. It was probably pretty funny, but I got to the point to where I knew I could get a fly out on the water. Right? It wasn't graceful, but it worked. So I had a little bit of time, and I had the fly rod and reel in the back of my truck along with my flies, and I just stopped at a little local pond behind a grocery store of all places. Now, the reason I stopped there is because they had cut all the weeds down, all the reeds down, all the way around the pond, and I'm just trying not to get snagged up in those because I'm a beginner when it comes to fly fishing.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, it was a lot of fun. I definitely would try it again, and hopefully next year I'll get a little more proficient in it. But I got a couple of little tiny like 2 and 3 inch bluegill and a little tiny pumpkin seed when I was doing that. But I didn't expect any more than that out of that little ditch, little
You're going to
drain.
get that a lot with flies and the smaller flies, but the small flies will get the big ones too. But you get a lot of that with them. They're a ton of fun, and every fish you catch on a fights hard. Fly rod fishing is just a lot of fun. Crappie Kids is Mark and Lyle. You both have a spot on my boat to fish for crappie and brim. All you got to do is get here. Everything else is taken care of. Trust me. Thank you so much. Appreciate that much. Really do. Maybe we can make that happen one of these days. I'd like to do that.
That's another state I want to fish in is Florida. I think that'd be a good time. I'd like to get out there on Okeechobee with John and get on some of those massive amounts of crappie they have down there. But you know what? I did cook some crappie this weekend, Lyle.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty tasty. I sent you a picture, I think.
I'm sure I sent you pictures of the ones I cooked the other day.
Yeah, I know you did. So I cooked them crappie this weekend out of spite. My mom was grateful. She was over for the weekend, so she enjoyed it, and it came out pretty good. But you know what I did realize? The time before that, I had made bluegill, and I'm gonna say it. I know I was always talking, but I think I like bluegill better than crappie.
Well, they're good, man. I've been telling everybody that, but to really get good sized bluegill, you got to be selective. But they are very, very tasty. I like them better than crappie, but crappie's been easy for me up until the last couple of days. They've been really easy to get, but the last few days in that front move through, they've done. And to touch on that a little bit, what I mean by that is when them fronts come through, if you're not finding your fish, they probably didn't go very far, but they're probably with the deeper water where they can get down to the water temperature that they want to be in. And if they want to be in warmer temperature, then they'll be up closer. But they're always going to be around structure. If you can't find the structure in the depth they want to be in, then you're in trouble. And that's where side imaging, down imaging, front forward facing sonar, all that comes into effect to help you find where they're at. So if you're a bank fisherman, it's search and rescue time. You just got to keep going until you run into the right depth with the right structure that them crappie are going to be in, because where I've been catching them, they're not there right now. They're just gone. And I don't care what you throw at them, with the exception of live minnows, because they don't allow you to use live minnows on conservation lakes. It's kind of like these lakes are full of shad. That's why there's such a population of crappie and bluegill and channel cat in them. You can't throw a cast in there to get your bait. So it is what it is.
When I was bank fishing for a while, I was always on the search for shad during the summer, right?
Yep.
And one time in one of my stops over here, right off the river in one of these marinas, I had thrown a casting out there, and Lyle, I kid you not, I must have got 1,000 dime-sized shad. Yep. And I was thinking to myself, man, if I could just take some of these home with me and do a little pan fishing with that, I bet you I'd kill it with those.
Probably would. You seen that one that I snagged that I sent you a picture of?
Yeah.
I swear that thing was a half-inch long. Smallest thing I ever got. I don't know how that hook stuck him. It's really sharp hook. Brian says, what's the average growth rate of crappie in a fertile lake? That will depend on your location. The warmer climate stuff has longer growth periods than the colder states. But crappie and bluegill and stuff don't live like catfish live for 30 plus years and produce offspring throughout their entire lifespan. But crappie and bluegill, their lifespan is like 4 to 8 years or something like that.
Yeah, there's outliers either way.
Yeah, but it's a lot shorter. That's why when you catch a good-sized crappie or bluegill, it's not imperative that you return it to the water. It's okay if you do, because it'll continue to pass those genes along. But if it's really big, say 15, 16-inch crappie, chances are, or 10-inch bluegill, it's on its end of its life cycle or getting close to it. So it's not devastating if you harvest some of those. West Central Illinois. You should be real close to about what we are.
Yeah, you know, I've read that they'll be at like 6 inches in year two, and then grow from there, like
Right.
maybe an inch a year or more. You know, they got a pretty rapid growth rate. It all depends on obviously how they're feeding, water temperature, the time they're feeding, how long. I mean, even in the winter, they're on the move constantly feeding.
Right.
Here in the winter, they're feeding on bugs and stuff, which is probably not as nutrient packed as, you know, shad or something, or weight and size gaining
Exactly.
pack to
Like
get
I
them
say,
fat. So, and
I
that would be
wonder. I don't know, but I've often wondered. Bluegill spawn on every full moon throughout the summer where I'm at. Now, in Florida, Texas, places like that where it don't get as cold as we do they spawn year round or close to it? It's very possible if the water is the right temperature, then it's very possible that they could spawn every year.
You know what I'll do, Lyle? I'm going to do a little homework here. I'm going to go over to SK's Crappie Catch Adventures live stream tonight at like 9 o'clock. And I'll ask him because he lives down there in Texas. He's got some extreme warm temperatures, I believe,
Yeah,
even
down
still.
around Houston, yeah, that's like being in Florida or something.
He'll be able to tell me what it's like down there where he fishes. He's a pretty knowledgeable dude. So, what's going on, Kevin Baker? Long time no see. How you doing? He says he just got back from fishing himself. It's good to hear you say that. Aaron, welcome. Aaron says fish are moving. Yeah, we were just talking about that, Aaron. And then he said, "Hello, young men," with laughy emojis. I think he
must have been talking to people in chat, right?
Could be. The crappie kid says key depth for crappie in the winter is 12 to 15 feet with structure. Bridges are my favorite places to find the slabs. I gotta poke an 8-inch hole in the ice in order to get to the crappie. It's a little different animal here. I don't do much ice fishing anymore. Maybe we'll get out once or whatever.
It's funny he mentioned bridges because I was at a boat ramp here a while back. Boat hadn't been running a few weeks. I just backed it in to start it up, make sure everything was cool on it. This old guy pulled up there and we got to talking. He was, asking about the boat and different things. And he said, I got a boat. And he said, I rarely take it out. When I do, he says, you see that bridge right over there? He said, I fish around in bridge piers. He said, that's as far as I ever go.
When I go under the bridge,
great information.
When I go under the bridges here, on the Fox, on the river, not so much on the lakes, but on the river, I mark fish, but you can't sit under them bridges. We got so much traffic. Even in the off season, you got to be real careful.
Really?
Yeah, because the bridges are tight and the population's so high. So, it's kind of hard to get to them, but I can see them stacked up under there sometimes, Yeah. If the traffic's real heavy, they'll blow them fish right out from under them bridges. But, once it gets a little cooler, if you can get under there, maybe I'll, pack a bag and walk across over to a couple of spots and see what happens there. Maybe there's something to do here in the fall. ET, welcome, man. He says, I grew up in Rock Island and I lives in Bluegrass. He says pool 16 can be tricky. That makes me think of something. I want to get up to like pool 7 and 8 next spring and do a little spring walleye fishing up there, Lyle, and do some pan fishing up there. I watch Angler X, a lot of his stuff on YouTube, and he fishes up there quite a bit, and he does really well. And he is not shy about telling you how to get on those fish around them wing dams or up near the main dam and stuff. And that's a pretty good watch too.
Crappie Kid says no, brim stop in November here, so they spawn up till November. In northern Florida and start back up in March. But see, that's a long breeding season. There's no wonder they got great fishing down there. Mike Irwin, welcome. Glad to see you made it in, buddy. But yeah.
How you doing, Mike?
They spawn up until November. That's amazing. It really is. But they start here in April or May and end about now.
Now I'm thinking, with this winter coming around, I might have to get out on the ice this year, Lyle. At least do a little bluegill fishing out there. I think that might be fun.
It will be fun. And you can tie you up some little jigs or get some of them little 1/2-inch plastic doodads and tungsten weights if you like tungsten, and drop them down there.
Yeah,
And
the magic bullet for bluegill around these parts are a gold hammered tungsten jig with a tiny hook and like a little 1/4 ounce red wedgie. Red and gold, for some reason, in the winter are deadly for panfish. Brian Casey Shepherd says Pool 18 is great for channels and flatheads. Where is Pool 18, Lyle? You're familiar with the river.
I don't know what pools what. Yeah, I got to know towns. I don't never did learn in pools. 18 would be up above Keokuk someplace. I don't know how far up there.
I sent you that video of that barge hitting a bridge at Keokuk.
Yeah, you did. That bridge is a very strange bridge. It has a lot of locks in it, and they're small. I don't know why they built it that way, but they did. Below you can go up through there with a boat if you know what you're doing. If not, you're going to get in rocks and you're going to tear up a bunch of crap. But it is a generating dam, and when it generates in the wintertime, I've had a guy bring me a garbage sack full of shad for bait. And they get up in there, they plug up the part that sucks the water through, and they just throw them out. Shad by the millions. It's unbelievable. And if you go up there in the summertime, of course, they're not doing that. They're not there. But in the wintertime, when that warm water hits and starts coming out of there, them shad are in there, man. They'll plug up the intake. It's hard to believe, isn't it? But
that's a lot of shad.
I had the guy, he had a bag for himself. He said, I got a bag for you if you want it. I opened that bag up, and it was half, a garbage bag. You couldn't lift it up and been any full. I was worried about breaking it as well. It was half full of big shad. Big shad.
That's a lot of shad. What'd you do with the rest of them? Did you put them in your garden?
I froze them.
You froze them?
They was big enough. They had body structure. You could freeze those. They wasn't little. There wasn't no little ones. They was all big.
When I'm going after shad, usually I'll go to the dam. I'll hoof it to the dam, not off the boat, and I'll throw right underneath the dam, and I'll get a bunch of shad. Every now and then I'll get a couple of larger ones, but usually they're like between 3 and 4 inches, which is fine. I mean, I've caught pretty big flathead on shad, half shads that size, so they work. I'm a firm believer. I know people say big baits catch big fish. They do, but sometimes elephants eat peanuts too.
Well, there's no doubt that big fish will eat small baits. My reason, as a tournament fisherman, and I don't necessarily go by that now, but my reason as a tournament fisherman, little fish won't mess with the big baits.
Yep.
Well. And I was looking for big fish. You got to put one. My theory was Cindy always fished for numbers of fish. I fish for fish. I was looking for one bite. I just needed one big one, and there usually didn't get it, but we catch numbers of fish. And then you sort out what you don't want and get rid of them and keep what you want. And hopefully you got the right ones. But there's a lot of times she caught the big fish of the day in our boat fishing for smaller fish because I wasn't looking for them size fish. I was looking for a giant. And if you ever got one, you was gold. If you didn't get one, then you took what you got.
When I'm fishing in the summer when the channel cats are really active, I'll upsize my baits just to keep them channel cats off when I'm flathead fishing, just to keep them off my lines and stuff. So Crappie Kid says, I miss ice fishing. I'm jealous. I used to do a lot of ice fishing, kid, and not so much these days. It's bad news. It's kind of hard to drag a sled with 100 pounds of gear out a mile out on the ice. So
yeah, like I say, that ice pops, I'm going to crap myself, so I ain't getting out on it. It ain't happening. And it does all the time. Whether you're on it or not, it cracks a lot.
We did a lot of night ice fishing, which is a blast because your buddies are all off of work. They're able to come out there with you. We'll get the big old shanty. I used to have like one of them big pop-up shanties. I think I still have it actually. Get 4 of us in there and drop a light underneath the water and light it up, and It's a good time. You get a bunch of guys out there. You get the heat going. You're in your t-shirts. It's 30. It's 20 degrees outside. You're keep it nice and warm in there and fish. And it's a little slow. Tip up fishing's always fun. So, man, maybe I'll get out. I'm starting to get excited just thinking about it. So, Brian says, best crappie experience I ever had was Lake of the Ozark. No movers with a few braggers. I'm not quite sure what that means. You know what that means?
I do not, but I know Lake the Ozark has a great population of crappie. I always had better luck on Truman, but a lot of that is because most of my crappie fishing was done in the summertime when the boat traffic was really bad on Lake Ozark. In the falls and winters, I was catfishing, and either one of those places are great catfishing venues. But Truman Lake is loaded with big crappie.
Lake of the Ozark seems interesting. Not in the heat of summer, but off season, it looks like it'd be a heck of a place to do. Because I've seen some videos just recently of how busy that lake is and how much money and fuel is being burnt out there, and it was pretty crazy. I have to admit.
I really hated it when Chad and Dee come down. They spent a week with us, and we went to. They wanted to go to Lake Ozark. I said, okay. I said, you're in for an experience. I said, you had never seen so many sea-doos in your entire life. And Chad was counting them for a long time. I think he finally give up. But we was out there, and it was 104 or 5 degrees.
I remember that.
It was miserably hot. You get up in the morning, it was like 9. They wanted to go, so we went up there for a little while. And we drove baits. Didn't do any good at all. And it's just unbelievable boat traffic. And we got there early, and it didn't matter. They was already out.
That same week they were visiting, you remember Betty Jean and Brandon were here. It was the same temperature, 100 degrees out here. That's when they got that famous picture of me passed out, snoozing with an empty big gulp under a tree.
Yeah. Good night, Brian. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it, buddy.
Good night, Brian. He says, New Boston and Keithsburg across from Muscarine, Spencer and Micah fished Micah fished Twisted Cats there. My old home grounds. All right.
Yep.
Crappie Kid says, I miss the days of chasing flags and jigging yellow jumbo perch through the ice. That's a good time.
Yep.
DC's Muscatine is Lock and Dam 17 just south of me. All right. Now we got a good idea where he lives.
That's up there quite a ways.
Let's see. Benoit Fishing Outdoor says, Crappie Kid, trade you. Ice fishing is fun, unique, but you can have the cold here in Ohio.
Ohio, Missouri, Illinois, it don't make a whole lot of difference. When it's cold, man.
So. But Iowa, I'm learning from Uncle Lou that it really gets cold in Iowa.
It does. It does. It really gets cold up there, and every time I was up there, it was cold. The wind was blowing like hell, and it makes it even worse. You know what I mean?
So yeah, sounds like we got big plans for the fall. I can't wait to get out there.
Me either, because when the water finally cools off and starts to stabilize a little bit, every species of fish that I can think of can be caught. Just got, like I said, they have a depth where the water temperature is where they want to be, and that's where you got to fish, and you'll catch them. Now, for me, side imaging is the best. I don't do down imaging. I can't imagine it being any more effective finding fish, especially schools of fish, than what side imaging is. Because when you pull in to a cove that's loaded with crappie, say shad, say you're looking for catfish bait, your screen will turn red. There'll be millions of them. All you got to do is throw the net. You don't have to look around. They'll be schooled up so tight that sometimes it's hard or impossible to pull the net up without letting someone out. And crappie and bluegill, especially crappie, bluegill not as much, they'll school up like that too. And when you find that spot, there'll be just white areas all over a brush pile or treetops that's down in the water or something like that. They're not hard to find. Once you find them, you know what you're looking for and the depth you're looking for, then you go anywhere in the lake and find the same type area and you'll find them again.
And if you can find that bait over structure, you're golden. The chances are there's going to be crappie on that stump or that brush or that rock pile or whatever. That's definitely a go-to. I've had a couple times.
That's an interesting question for me. Do you find a lot of crappie on rock piles?
Yeah, if they're on structure in general, they're on there. And I'm talking.
I haven't found crappie on rock piles yet, but I haven't really looked for them there either.
I found them on there. They're hiding. I find them. All right, now here's a secret that not too many people know. The real big crappie are going to be solo. They're going to be wandering. They're going to be swimming around. A lot of times on rock piles, they'll stop there if there's bait in there. So you'll catch them moving for the most part. If you're looking for big crappie, that's probably what you're going to want to do. The best way to get to them is probably long line trolling, or if you got front facing sonar, you can sharpshoot them. I'm terrible at it. I don't claim to be an expert, but I've seen fish that way. I've caught fish that way, and they're always the better size ones. Like 14 inchers are common when I'm fishing for them that way. Where I get on a brush pile, I get 2 or 3 fish in the summer out of each brush pile at the most, and they're 9 inches, which is a decent crappie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not like those solo ones moving, and they seem to like to stop on those rock piles from time to time too. So
the crappie I've been targeting have been around brush piles that they place around these docks. The docks are easy to walk in. You walk down there and you know where the structure's at once you've been there a time or two, and you go in there and you fish it and you catch fish. It's not like pay lake fishing because these are conservation lakes. Now, you go in there and you're catching 6, 8, 9-inch fish right next to or on top of this structure. When you're looking for the big ones, if you just move out away from it, that's where they're at. And if you stop catching fish, then move to where you can cast behind it or on the other side of it or between you and them. The bigger fish will be around they won't be as very many big fish in that structure. They'll be on the outside edge, is what I found.
Mm-hmm. Usually, when I'm talking rock piles, it's usually associated to like ledges and stuff too, though. You can find fish, any kind of fish on ledges. And if they got rock piles on there, it's just exponential. Your odds of finding fish there are better the more structure, different types of structure are there. So yeah, I definitely make a stop. I have the Navionics app, which is now the Garmin app, I believe.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken.
And now they want to charge you for it.
I'm sorry?
Now they want to charge you for it.
Yeah, they'll charge you for it. They always wanted to charge you for it, so you got better resolution, like a 1 foot increments, which is nice. So I've always paid for it. It's included with my subscription to the maps on my boat. So I mean, I kind of don't have a choice, but I get it. I bring that up is because the Illinois Department of Natural Resources drops structure, beds, fish beds, which are pretty much they're pallets that they make into cubes. They drop them and they mark them, and they know where those are at, so you can find them. And I have them all marked down there. And I find what I do is I travel from one of those to the other one, fish it, go to the other one, and in between I'll use my side imaging, like you're saying, and find my own structure. I think that's a good way of doing it. That's a good place to start. And that side imaging is good. You had mentioned down imaging. I think you mean front facing sonar when you were talking, but down imaging is good. What I've always done is I'll find what I think is fish on side imaging, and then I'll go to there and I'll look at them on down imaging, or 2D sonar, and see what I'm seeing that way. And that's before I drop the trolling motor and get the front facing sonar out there to get a real good look. But if you get in.
Did you watch the video I sent you a link to?
I did. Yep.
That guy's spot on with a lot of stuff. That's a really good video, and the guy explained things very well. And in one spot in that video, he was talking about if you don't think that 2D sonar is important. He switched over to that right during that video, and it just lit it up. I mean,
Yep.
very high quality video, done really well.
It's all using the same technology. It's just displaying it a little bit different, and it's
Right.
more under the boat or off to the side of the boat.
That's right.
So, you know,
And
the good thing,
now-
like we always talk about side imaging, is you know, you can get up to like 100-foot spread on each side of your boat, and then go to those spots, and you can get directly over them, and that's pretty much the way to do it. What I've done in the past is I've done just like you said. I found bait here on Lake Marie on the chain, and I think I had you on speakerphone when I was catching all those white bass, huge cloud of shad or minnows or whatever bait it was, and I drop a plastic in there, and I just let that plastic free fall to the bottom of that shad pile, and it would act like an injured shad. Boom, I was getting hit every time I dropped right through that cloud of bait. So
that's right. You know, I have always had mixed feelings about forward-facing sonar. And hi, Jody. Thanks for joining us, kid.
Hi, Jody.
We really appreciate it. One of the reason that I've had mixed feelings about that is the cost. But every time something new comes out, it's more expensive than what we had before. And these companies are trying to make money off of them. And I 100% got that. I was in business for years and years and years. You got to make money but you don't have to make it all at once. You can spread it out a little bit. Now, with that being said, 7 and 8-inch sonar screens are fairly reasonable. When you get up to the ones where us old guys need to see, the 10, 12, 15-inch ones, they're not reasonable anymore. They're out of line. When you can buy a brand new 60-inch TV for $300 or $400, there's no reason a 15-inch screen sonar has got to be $5,000 to $8,000. That's just ridiculous.
Well, you know, sonar is a little different than TV because you're broadcasting a radio signal and you're receiving that same radio signal back. Then you need the processing power to process that signal and display it on a screen. They're not, you know, front-facing sonar is no more expensive than front-facing sonar is about the price you'd pay for a phone. You know, a phone does a heck of a lot, but so does a sonar. I mean, it's pretty high technology. Also, front-facing sonar, I know Garmin's got, it's like 5 transducers built into that one, 5 little sections of it that broadcast. So when you think about it that way, you got to remember that.
Yeah, that's what I said. You're paying for the technology and what it took for them to get it to that point. But
yeah, it's pretty incredible.
I want to get on a boat with somebody and check it out. I probably never will spend the kind of money it takes to buy one. If I did, it'd be a Humminbird, and I know that's not going to suit you, but
it's fine. I got no problem with
stuff. I mean, I've had good luck with stuff. But for me, side imaging is one of the most amazing tools. And then you mark your fish, and if you want to check them, you go to down imaging, get right on top.
That's good enough. That's all you need. People have used that forever.
I have come in, replace the trolling motor remote, $200, but TV remote is $10.
$10.
There you go. But in reality, Jody, you have to understand that these guys selling these fish finders and stuff, they're selling a few thousand or 100,000 a year, and they're selling 10 million TVs.
Yep, there's a difference.
They don't have to make as much off of TV because they're selling 100 times more of them.
Yeah, they're getting parts at huge discounts because they're ordering them in such huge quantities and stuff. So there's all sorts of stuff.
They probably sell more TVs at Christmas time than the sonar people sell all year.
Sonar people, they do pretty good on Black Friday too. You got to admit, they always have a bunch of specials.
Compared to what Sony does on TVs or RCA or whoever makes them these days. Hell, they got brands in there every year. Every time I go to the store that I never even heard of before. I didn't know what LG was for a long time. I thought.
Don't get me started on LG. I'm not a fan, but we're not going to.
Well, I'm not a fan either, but I'm just saying I didn't know. I had to look the name up to find out what the hell it was. What the hell do you stand for? I don't know.
Hey,
Yeah.
Jody, here's the hint. Most trolling motors, if it's got a remote, you can control it with your phone. Download the app for your trolling motor. If you need to use one in a pinch or you don't have the money to buy a replacement one, you can always use your phone for the remote.
Then they got to learn how to do that. Screw it.
Well, it ain't that hard. It's actually pretty simple on a phone. It isn't too bad. Also, if you got a foot pedal, you can always use that. If you're going to buy a foot pedal for one, here's something that I know a couple of guys do. They get the Bluetooth foot pedals. I know a lot of the pros, they like the cable controlled trolling motors, but there's something to be said about being able to set that Bluetooth control pedal down anywhere in the boat and use it from there. It's something I still need to do. I need to get better at using a foot control on my trolling motor because it leaves two hands free. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Jody says, still a ripoff.
Yeah, I agree.
Cindy says, I gave $2,000 for a used trolling motor I don't use. Wow. I don't even want to say how much I paid for my new trolling motor because the wife might hear me.
But you got it. You're going to use it. And
I do use it. Only thing I wish I had is that automatic deploy like you got, Lyle. I miss that Altera in my old boat. I ain't going to lie.
You know, I never had problems dropping Tarovas down. Never did. Never had a problem.
Well, I don't have a problem. But it's just
the Altera is very handy.
It's nice. It's nice to be able to control that. You know, I do a lot of solo fishing, so it's nice not having to do that all the time. It'd be nice to deploy it. Like I said, I don't even drop my front-facing sonar, my live scope transducers mounted on my trolling motor. So in order to use it, I got to drop my trolling motor whether I'm going to use it or not, if I'm anchored or whatever. So there's a lot of that. If I could do that and with auto deploy, it'd be good. The folks at Garmin told me that Minn Kota does have the patent on that, which is why they don't have it. So it is what it is.
I'm sure they do. It'd be smart if to have it. One of the things that I like about trolling motors over all things is spot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it doesn't work quite as well in lakes and stuff if the wind's blowing, but you just head into the wind and it's like current. But if you're in current situations, these new trolling motors, they'll lock you down.
They do, and the newer ones are even better. Like mine will stay 5 feet within where it's at. You know,
if you get them dialed in and do all the things that you could do to make them, you can pull up to like a buoy out there and spot lock on it, and it'll stay within 3 to 5 feet of a buoy. Now, I can fish like that, and wind will do the same thing if it's steady. But if it's not, it'll, you know, on a lake, they'll blow you around a little bit, but you're still there. But one way to solve that problem is a marker buoy. Just drop it in over marker buoy.
Yep.
Just one's got a little thing is lying on it. They roll up. Just drop it where you're at. And if the wind's blowing you around, you're still on the spot. Then move to the other side of the boat or the front or the back, wherever you have to do to fish by your marker buoy and your goal.
If you got side imaging and down imaging, you can get a buoy, get 2 of them, get one on each side of that structure, and you're golden. Just cast between the two, and you're ready to go. So just be careful of your trolling motor if you're out there, because that rope will get caught in your trolling motor too. So ask me how I know. Ask me how I know.
Another way to do that, Mark, is to drop an anchor off the back of your boat, pull up to it and spot lock, and then when it settles down, then take the slack out of the anchor rope, and it will hold you pretty close to where you want to be.
If I'm in some shallow water, I do just the opposite with that talon. I'll put that talon down and I'll use my trolling motor to keep me pointed right way, whether I got to turn or not. Now, some of these newer trolling motors, Jody just says, James got one of those fancy new ones, and it is awesome.
They are.
Some of these new trolling motors have options that'll actually circle around a point rather than just spot lock on it. So if you find some structure you want to fish, you can set it up so it'll circle the front of the boat all the way around that structure. You can cast to it and get facing the right way. It's some pretty neat stuff. Some of them will follow paths that you set down on your sonar screen. You can record paths. People have been doing that for a while. I use that quite a bit. It works pretty well. I mean, it's incredible how easy they've made stuff like that and complicated at the same time. You know, I remember when Al Linder was fishing for Lund back in the day. He started a lot of the big tournaments for. He's probably one of the guys responsible for walleye tournaments in this country.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
Yeah, and how he was doing things back then. It's night and day, and he talks about it too sometimes.
Mark, another thing while we're on that subject of spot locking and talons and different things, for those of us that don't have talons or don't want to put them on a boat or don't want to pay for them, whatever the reason is that you don't have one, they're great. If you can afford them things, they're a great thing to have. What I have is the poles, the
Mm-hmm.
anchors. They come in 8-foot lengths or 12 foot.
Well, you can get extensions. You can get them.
I got 4-foot extensions for
Yeah.
mine. Now, the only thing that you have to do is go to the area that you plan on using and find out if you need the extensions or not. The way I have mine set up, I screw them in. You're going to be using the extensions regardless because that's how I have mine done. But if you go to a lake, they work really good on lakes. If you go to a lake and you find a spot that say the water is 8 foot where the structure's at and the fish you want to fish for is going to be there. Josh, the weekend angler, has a video out, and I haven't seen it in a while, that shows how to make the deals with little rings to
Mm-hmm.
run them through and put them on. And you need to go check that out. But those things are awesome for hold your boat. And on the rivers, I've had mixed work with them. There is either a lot of rock or the silt is so deep. And I used them up at Cherokee Lake. And remember, I lost one, couldn't get it pulled out. And Chad had to pick it up for me.
Who sent Chad to go rescue you?
You did.
I did. Don't give him all the credit.
Okay. But
Jeez.
he did pull it up. I couldn't get it out, and he got it out for me. But those things are amazing. Also, they're not as handy and easy to use as a Talon, but they're way. And I've got rolls and rolls paracord that I use on people's fishing rods for grip. So
Yeah, I use that in my elbow. And you mentioned something that kind of reminded me of something that something that I've experienced in fishing. I had one of those too, and I have the Talon now. And that being said, you had mentioned whether it's mud or rock or whatever. That's a great way to find out what you're fishing on. If you can find out the bottom of what you're fishing on, you can pretty much narrow it down to the type of fish that are going to be there. I still use my Talon to this day. If I'm not quite sure what type of bottom's below me, I'll put it down and let the boat drift a little bit, pull it up and put it back down. It'll slide a little. If I'm on a mussel bed or gravel or sand or mud, I'll know it with that 100%. And I've used that to teach myself how to tell between the different bottoms on my down imaging. So with using that, it definitely came in handy for telling me what the different types of bottoms look like on sonar by knowing what type of bottom I am over. That's a mouthful, but it worked really well. So
yep, they work really well. And like I say, they're not very expensive. There's a little work to put them together, but not that bad. I mean,
no.
I did have issues with losing some of the pieces that they make a little spear point that you
Yeah.
epoxy on there, and I lost those. So I fixed all those problems with those epoxy not holding anything. I drilled a 1/4-inch hole through them and put a bolt nut on them, and I'm done with all that. That stops it.
That being said, I got my boat seat fixed.
Mike Irwin.
I don't know, Mike. How you doing, Mike? What's going on? He's saying hello. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
What's up, Paul?
But yeah, there's ways to get around a lot of that things. You just got to figure it out. It's like we was talking on Monday night. It's common sense stuff. So just take a look at it and make it happen. I mean, the main thing is get out and catch some fish. The fall of the year is one of the greatest times to catch panfish there is. Crappie and bluegill. Other than after and before fronts move through, you should be able to get on them and catch them in great numbers and bigger sizes. So make it happen, people.
They're feeding up for winter. Take advantage, folks.
That's exactly right. I love the cooler weather. It's comfortable to fish in. the fish will start schooling up. You'll be able to do really well.
Hey, Lyle, before we end the show, I did put a poll up here. It says, has the weather started to change in your area yet? It also says hit the thumbs up. So if you haven't hit the thumbs up, folks, please do. We'd appreciate it. 86% of the people said it has started changing in their area, and only 14% said no. So,
well, that's pretty good.
That's good. Like I said, it's going to be in the 60s here for the next week. Hopefully I'll be able to make some time to take advantage of it. And we'll report back next week and see how we both did.
Absolutely. Yeah, because, we're both going to be out fishing a little bit for the next few days. And I've got to the point where I'll fish in rain if it's not too bad. But if it's pouring down, or if I expect it to pour down, I don't have to sit out that night. You can't make it. You just can't make it.
I just got a message from Danny Stone.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's not in here. I'm going to have to holler at him now that the show's over. All right, Lyle, I had a good time talking to you, bud.
Absolutely. It was a wonderful time. I hope people picked up some tips and points. If you guys have any questions at any time, leave them in the comment section below. We'll be glad to have it. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, please do so. Tell your friends about it. Share the video out. We get more people in here to watch them. Any kind of questions you got, either leave them in the comments or message Mark or I. Either one will be more than happy to help you out. Just remember that my Facebook account was hacked. I have a new one. It's L.E. Stokes. You can contact me on Facebook or message me. However you want to do it. We're glad to help you out with anything we can, and look forward to next week's show.
If you have a hard time getting a hold of Lyle and you can't find him on Facebook, contact me. I'll point you in the right direction, folks.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week.
Have a good night, everybody.